In this episode, we will be going over trigger control. Ask yourself these questions. What is trigger control, and why does it matter so much? First question, where should your trigger finger go? The answer depends on a few things. Your hand size, the size of the gun, the trigger itself. Everyone is built a little differently, so you need to find what works best for you. That said, I can absolutely guide you through it. What I like to do is place the trigger right on the first pad on my trigger finger. This makes a 90-degree angle to help pull the trigger straight back. Some people like to place the trigger right on the first joint on the trigger finger. You'll feel a slightly bony area there. The con is that this doesn't cause a flat 90-degree, which introduces extra movement. I avoid using just the tip of my finger, unless the gun is too big and that's all I can reach. Many people claim if they use just the tip, they lose sensitivity once adrenaline kicks in, especially in competition. If you're using just the tip, it can push the gun while you're shooting, or it's easier for you to get your finger to slip off. No matter how big your hands are, I would not put too much finger through. That can start to introduce movement at the front of the gun while pressing the trigger, and that affects accuracy. The technique I use is ideal for me, and it also works well for most shooters. So again, try placing the trigger just in front of that first joint on the first pad on your trigger finger. Give this a shot the next time you're at the range and see how it feels for you. There are different types of trigger pulls, and we're going to go over those in this video. So the first one is slapping, the second one is prep pressing, and the third one is staging. Let's get into the specifics of those trigger pulls. So the first type of trigger control is slapping. What does that mean? Well, I will show you on my gun. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that it is unloaded and pointed in a safe direction. So nothing to feed it. Nothing in its mouth. Nothing to feed it. Nothing in its mouth. All right, this gun is clear. I'm just going to now come up and show you what slapping looks like. Slapping is basically pulling straight through the trigger. There's no prepping on the trigger. You're just pulling straight through the wall, the prep, and everything until you hear it click or the gun fires. Okay, that's here. You can almost hover off the trigger when you're slapping. It's just a very smooth, continuous pull throughout the entire trigger. Now, getting into prep pressing, it's a little bit different. This one, we actually take up the slack of the trigger. What is the slack of the trigger? Well, it's this little bit of motion, because my trigger is nice and short. There's a little bit of motion called the slack before you hit the wall of the trigger that actually starts the trigger pull back. So in prep pressing, you're taking up the slack, you're pausing, whether that's for 1/100th of a second or, half a second. So prep, and then you pause, then you press through. It's nice and smooth. Okay, it's going to be prep and press. Take up the slack, press, and press. Then we go into staging. What is staging? Well, let me tell you. Staging is taking up 10% of the trigger up at a time, and it's also considered a surprise break. What does that mean? You don't know when the trigger is going to actually go off because you're taking up so little at a time. This is typically used in very precise and long shots. So we're going to take it up 10% at a time. I'm going to show you again. There we go. So that is staging. Okay, so why do these trigger control types of pulls matter? Well, you got to choose what is for you. What are you going to mainly be doing when you're pulling the trigger? Are you going for fast? Are you going for precision? Are you going for kind of that in-between thing? So slapping is typically used for very fast, close-in shooting. I would say within 7 yards, kind of a big open target. So that's what this is for, because you're going so fast. Now, typically in prep pressing, it's kind of the mid-distance trigger pull. It's for something further than 7 yards. Maybe there's part of the target is covered, a little bit of precision, but not ultra precision. So that is the prep press. That's what that is used for. And then there's staging, of course, which is 10% at a time. It's used for like ultra, super tiny, long shot targets. And that's the 10% up at a time. That's staging. So all of these are typically used in different ways. For me, I actually really like the prep press. I kind of use it all the time because it's what I'm most comfortable with, as well as what I'm best with. Now, there are people out there who really like to slap all the time, and they're very good at it. There's some people that like to stage all the time, and they've made it actually quite quick and efficient. There's so many different options, and you have the choice to use what you think will be best for you. And you can try these to figure that out as well. And now we're going to get into story time. Something to keep in the back of your mind that I'm going to bring up right now is that you're going to have so many different teachers and instructors out there, and they all bring something different to the table. They teach a little bit differently. They have different ways to help you, me included. And what you need to do is kind of test and see what they're trying to teach you and see if it's going to work best for you. But whatever is best for you, do that. There's no one right way to do something unless it comes down to safety. Safety, there's only one way to do it. But when I was little and I had so many different instructors and they were helping me, and I picked up a little bit of everything from different instructors and kind of created my own way of shooting. Two of those instructors were Rob Latham and Ron Avery. Rob Latham, big sweetheart. He's also just really big inside of the shooting industry. Is considered one of the greatest of all-time shooters. He actually taught me a really great way to slap, and I actually became quite precise with that. And then I had Ron Avery, who was a different instructor. He was a national and world champion as well and everything. And he taught me the power of the prep press type of pulling a trigger. And now I use that every single day, and I absolutely love it. And I always revert back to that if something isn't working. So you're going to have different people, you're going to pick up different things and create your own way of shooting that's best for you. The one way is the best way for you. I'll slow down some videos where you can view my trigger pull slowly. Can you tell which trigger pull I'm using in each video? Comment which pull I'm using in each of these videos. Thank you for watching. If you really liked this video and the different ways to pull the trigger, go ahead and practice these. You can dry fire at home, you can go out to the range and actually put it on paper and see what works best for you.